thanks for watching. I'm going to show you how I make the tower pop-up for greeting cards. I make it a little bit differently from other people. I really love this pop-up because it's really tall. The angle of my camera is not doing this justice, but it's 26 centimeters tall. And my card is only about 20 centimeters wide or 22 centimeters wide, and that's wide open. So I'm going to start off with cardstock. These are the materials I use. I suggest you use cardstock. And for the hot stuff card, I used rectangles. But in here, I'm going to show you how to make the tower using squares. Mostly because squares are easier to see when assembling. It's just a little bit clearer for you to understand. So if you don't know how to make a paper square or a rectangle, see the link up above and down below in the description field to get that tutorial. So I took an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, made it into a square, cut it into 3 pieces, and now I have to find the middle of each one of those. So one way to do it is to fold it in half like this. Another way to do it is take a ruler and find the middle. And the third way is just to eyeball it. So I folded it in half, and now I'm going to mark it with a black marker so you can see where that middle line is. That middle line is really going to be my cutting line. So I need to cut 3 of the 4 sides of this square. So I put lines on 3 sides, and on the 4th side I'm going to write the word face on it. That way I don't cut the face. I want to make sure I don't do that. Okay, so just take a pair of scissors and cut along that middle line on all 3 sides. This is really one of the 2 most technical parts of this video, is just make sure you don't cut the face when you're cutting the 3 sides of your structure. So when you're using a rectangle, it's going to be a little bit more complicated when you're cutting it, but just make sure you don't cut the face and you'll be fine. Alright, so those cuts don't have to be really straight or anything, just make the cuts. Don't be stressed about this, it's just crafting. Okay, so open it up and then fold down the middle of the face, like this, and that's your V-fold. That's it. You're actually done. Now you can attach it to the card. So flatten it out so that the face is pointing up, and then see the face, flip it over, and then put the glue on the back side of the face. That is the adjacent side of the square. So if you were doing a rectangle, it would be the adjacent side of the rectangle, because you know a rectangle has length and width. Okay. Anyway, so now position it over the fold of the card, that is the valley of the card. So the face should be in the front and the open part is in the back. In this case, I made my square way too big and I positioned it wrong and it's peeking out of the card. So I'm just going to readjust it and push it in there because I used a glue stick. It's really forgiving, so I can just readjust and make sure there's a gap along the 3 corners, and then the bottom inside corner should still be right in the valley of the card, that is the fold of the card, which I marked in black here so you can see it. Then when you close the card, that glue is gonna work, and there it is. It pops up and the V is actually straddling the fold of the card, which is what you want. And notice how when you shut the card, it folds flat. If it's not doing that, then just readjust so those 2 sides are equidistant from the center. And that's basically it. So for each subsequent layer that you're going to stack on top, make the structure in exactly the same way. So follow the exact same steps as you did before. Put the glue in the same place. And now the only difference is you have to turn it around, right? So place it so the face of the next layer should point in the opposite direction. So back to back, and then stacked up on top. So now the face is facing in the opposite direction from the one below it. Oh, but see, I really did make these too big. It's peeking out of the card. So now I have a design decision. Either make them smaller by starting over, or just push it into the card. So I pushed it into the card. In a second, I'll show you what the effect of pushing it into the card would be. It's still showing, so let me push it in some more. And I'm hoping my glue stick will finally stick. Here it is. Okay, so notice the top layer is now leaning back. If the angle of the opening on the back side of each layer is not the same on each layer, the tower will tilt away from its center. So see how the bottom is standing straight up, but the top is leaning back? It's because that angle of the opening is different on each layer. See the angle? See this angle down here? It's different from this angle up here. So what I want to do, if I want my tower to stand straight up, is to make those two angles the same. So the way I'm going to do it is take that measurement and transfer it over to the one on top. I'm going to try really hard to make this the same, but I'm never perfect. It's going to be slightly off. But I'm close enough, so I'm okay with that. And okay, so now it's going to peek out of the card, but I'm just going to be okay with it, because what I really want is a tower that stands straight up. So notice now, those two angles are somewhat similar now in measure, and now the top section is standing more upright than it was before. So that's what I want. I'm cool with that. So I'm going to add another layer. Again, it's exactly the same steps. See how I'm just eyeballing that cutting line as opposed to folding it and making a line, etc., etc. I just eyeballed it. Then put the glue in the same place as I did before, back to back from the layer underneath it. So now it's alternating face, back, face. See that? See how straight it is now? It's stacking straight up from the bottom. And that's what I wanted. I just have to readjust the card, make it bigger so it fits the structure. Or I can start over and make smaller squares so when they fold down, they'll fit inside the card. But either way, it's still going to be a tower. Let me know if you liked or disliked this video. Leave me a comment, share this video with your friends, or subscribe to my channel, Square Time.